"35 days to go until I hope to enter Project Risky Business, my 1985 Porsche 928S, in the New Hope Concours, scheduled for August 14th, 2023, in Bucks County, Pennsylvania." If you've been following along, I'm getting ready to paint the front and rear bumpers of the car, as they are not Concours quality at all and need a repaint. In my last video, I detailed how to remove the front bumper cover, but in this video, I'm going to detail how to remove the inner bumper. In my case, as you can see from the gap at the beginning and in this shot, the passenger side is out. The passenger side aluminum inner bumper protrudes out nearly 2 inches more than the driver's side. It was clear from when I bought the car that at some point between the cracks in the top of the rubber bumper, as well as the lights on the driver's side, did not look aligned properly. The outer shell, the outer bumper, looked fine, but at some point somebody had hit something minor enough. And researching this, I learned that even though these are 5-mile-per-hour bumpers, the shock absorbers that Porsche used were a one-and-done kind of thing. So in order, if you had a minor fender bender, even if it didn't damage the outer cover, you have to replace these. Porsche 928s of all vintages from 78 to 95 use these shock absorbers. They're 4 required, and my understanding is they are interchangeable front and rear, left to right, and all those generations. However, getting a brand new one is a genuine Porsche brand new one is $421. There's no way I'm spending that kind of money on a part that I hope I'll never need again. So luckily, through the magic of eBay, I was able to source not one, but a pair for $80. So $40 each is about 10% of the going rate for a brand new part. Many others are going for $100 each on eBay. I scored these. They came in on Thursday, right after the holiday. So for $80, they were good enough to get the inner bumper aligned properly before I start preparing the outer bumper for paint and putting that on. So in this video, I'm going to take you through the procedure on how to remove the inner bumper, replace the crushed bumper shock, and what my next steps are after this. So the first thing I thought when I started removing this, now in this shot, you see that the driver's side headlight lens is removed. There are 2 pairs of headlights on these, obviously the famous pop-up lights. But then when you turn those on, there are a pair below that are also act as headlights. So I started down this path of removing the screws for the lenses, thinking the attachment points would be inside the lens buckets, but I was wrong. I started putting PV blaster on. You can see me here in this shot trying to remove the screws for the lens, and then realizing, oh wait, how do I get these out? So now I realized on the back side there are 8mm screws. The turn signals only have 2 each. The position light and the alternate headlights have 4 each. So now it was a matter of removing them on the passenger side, which were relatively easy to get to. You can see with the front bumper cover off on this side. Position light came out without a problem, and then I ran into a little trouble with the headlight. 3 screws came out, no issue. The 4th one, however, just like when I was taking the bumper cover off, here I am using a Dremel tool because the nut would just not move any further on the shaft. It was just turning. So the Dremel tool just worked, and there you see, it's hard to see there, but my dirty fingers, but with the Dremel tool combined with using the socket And even so, after dremeling it enough that it was compromised, I used my socket to turn it hard enough that the nut split off and the bolt was, the stud for that was split. But at least I could remove the light. Now you see me using a breaker bar. This inner bumper is held simply by two long cap screws, hexagonal cap screws, with an eccentric cam on them for adjusting. Those fit through the cylinder of the bumper shocks, and that's what holds this on. What I quickly discovered is when I went to start taking the lights off on the driver's side, because the bumper was crushed in, I had to I couldn't get access to the bolts, even with a socket. There just wasn't enough room for the socket head or a wrench for that matter. So I realized, okay, I've got to either remove the bumper or make better access for it. So here I'm using a breaker bar, and they just weren't moving on Wednesday when I started this project. Between I spent nearly an hour getting the headlight out on the passenger side, not wanting to go through that ordeal again. I said, I'm going to cut my losses, spray everything that I have to remove with PB Blaster, and come back the following day. Now, the next morning, I came out with my bigger breaker bar, and lo and behold, my 1-inch drive breaker bar made it very easy work of taking the bumper off. Now, here's a shot looking up. It's a little blurry there, but you can see the cap screw. Now, in this shot, you see me using a floor jack with a bunch of rubber blocks from my quick jack. Even though I knew this was aluminum, I wasn't sure how heavy it was going to be. And so I decided, okay, I don't want this falling on me when I go to pull the bolts out. So that's what you see me doing here, just as a safety precaution, taking the weight off of the bumper. There's a good shot of the eccentric on that helps with the final alignment. So I removed the bolt. I loosened the bolt on the passenger side and removed the attachment bolt on the driver's side. And doing that allowed me to pivot out the bumper. So now I am on the driver's side. We're looking up, and you can see what you need to do to remove these 8mm bolts. Now that I had clear access to them, it was pretty straightforward to remove those. Now, what's difficult to see, I know it's a little blurry, but I had to use a ratchet wrench to getting access. 3 of the bolts are straightforward. They're just 8mm nut on the stud with a washer. But each one of these has a cable for the light bucket, and those act as the washer on those 4th bolts. And those are very tight. You can't get on those, you can't get a socket on, quite frankly. And so I just used my ratcheting 8mm wrench and was able to do it. So I apologize that it was blurry. What you see are 2 of the 3 light sockets. Luckily, the Porsche engineers, you can't see it in these pictures, but the headlight is the 4-pronged one that's I'm taking out right now. And they're numbered 1 through 4. And I believe it's the position light right below it is numbered 1 and 2. So that was a nice way of label the wiring when I take these off with those numbers. So when I go to put this all back together, I know what goes where. Won't waste time troubleshooting. All right. So with all the light buckets out and all of the wiring pulled, now it was a matter of just lifting off the inner bumper. You can see it was very light. And moving on, now you see the shock absorber, the inner bumper mounting point. See where the bolt goes through and attaches to the. So what you're looking at is from the floor. The camera's looking up, and we're looking up at the bumper support. There's one here on the driver's side, and then the one on the passenger side. These are held in with 2 13mm, 12 or 13mm bolts. Sprayed in with PB Blaster, and luckily, they did not need a breaker bar of anything. And this one, again, because it's crushed, And I'll show you the comparison here in a minute. The only way you could get to the bolts on this side was with a wrench. And once those bolts were removed, it was just a matter of wiggling out the old shock. And that, what you see in there, is the cover that came off of that shock. All right, now here's a good comparison. The one in my left hand is the one I had just pulled out. Now you have it there. And it's a good 2 inches between the two. So now to install, what I found is I had to put it into place. I had to use a rubber mallet to pound it in. It's a good close-up of it. Didn't want to damage it or risk compressing it. And then putting the bolts in to make that happen. And now here I am fitting in the lightweight bumper. Didn't need the jack at all if I had known that. Just fitting it into place. So I just wanted to make sure everything fit. So now that that bumper's off, in my next video, what I'll show is how I cleaned everything up. Now this gives me an interesting dilemma. Look at this picture here. I now have free access to the oil cooler and the air conditioning dryer and the condenser. I don't think I need a new condenser, but if I'm going to get the air conditioning system going again, I need a dryer. I want to clean all of this up while I have free access to it. And I think it just is a matter of procedure. It'll be a lot easier to replace the receiver dryer right now. I've got to detail all of this stuff because you can see it through the grill, and it'll just be good time to clean it up while I'm waiting for the paint to dry on the front bumper. So that's the latest and greatest. So we're now on the week of July 9th with 35 days to go. So if you enjoyed this video, please press the like button. More importantly, I find that only about 1/3 of the people watching my videos are actual subscribers. So if you're enjoying these videos and want to follow along and get notified, I encourage you to press the subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Thanks for watching this video. Please press the like and subscribe button, comment below, and be sure to check out our other videos on this subject, as well as all of the great content on our YouTube channel. If you have any questions, you can call me at the number listed below, or be sure to check out our main website, guyswithrides.com.